Namaste everyone. In today's video, we're going to focus on Muni Patanjali's Yoga Sutra 3.48. Now in this particular Yoga Sutra, Muni Patanjali is explaining to us the impact of gaining mastery over the five senses and eventually how the yoga sadhak is able to move with the speed of the mind and also gain mastery over Prakriti or the Mula Prakriti. So let's deep dive into the sutra, start breaking it up word by word and understanding even further how exactly this is made possible. So the sutra itself goes, Tato manoja vitvam vikarana bhavaha pradhana jayascha. Alright, so this is the sutra itself. Now let's start understanding each of the words individually and break it up even further. So the first word that we have here is tataha. So tataha is saying from that, which refers to the previous sutra. So it's saying from that mastery over the senses. And then the next word, which is manoja vitvam or manoja vitva, which essentially refers to the fleetness or the swiftness of the movement, similar to the way the mind moves, right? Because the mind has always been compared to a restless monkey, quickly moving from one idea to another. So now it's saying the speed with which the mind moves is the fastest conceivable speed for humans, even faster than cars, right? Because the mind can jump ideas in the matter of just 0.5 nanoseconds. So it's giving this example because it's trying to indicate just how fast one can move, So it's saying manoja vitva. And then the next word is vikarana bhava. So very important here, the compound word with two words within it, which is vikarana and bhava. So vikarana means without any physical means and bhava means a particular condition. So we're looking at a non-physical condition that's being spoken about or highlighted here. Then coming to the next word, we have pradhana. And pradhana refers essentially to the Mula Prakriti, the essence or the first root of Prakriti itself, which is Mula Prakriti. And then we come to the next word, which is Jaya. Now Jaya is referring to mastery. It has appeared even in some of the previous sutras, and that's what it refers to. And the final word here is Cha, and. So now let's take a good look at what the sutra is trying to tell us. So the sutra is saying that from that Indriya Jaya, which we discussed in the previous sutra, mastery over the senses, what happens is there's a certain level of independence, non-dependence on the senses which is achieved, and because of that level of non-dependence, now the yogi and the chitta is able to move with the speed of the mind and also gain mastery over the Mula Prakriti. So this is the basic meaning of the sutra itself, and now we're going to start going deeper to understand how that's possible and what exactly the sutra is talking about. So in some of the previous sutras, we understood exactly how the yoga sadhak has now been able to really gain control and a certain level of mastery over the entire practice of his body. So he or she is able now to really control the movement, the understanding of the body, as well as the speed and the way in which it transports from one place to another. So now, even further, by gaining control over the senses and by completely bringing it within its mastery and control, the yoga sadhak has no limitation on the body or the senses. He or she is no longer controlled by the grips of Prakriti, which are the five elements or the senses. Instead, he or she now commands control over them. So because of this amazing ability to do so, he or she has no limitations on speed at all, and therefore the body of the chitta can literally move at any speed from one place to another, because nothing is holding it back. And instead of the Prakriti controlling the conditions of the Yog Sadhak, the Yog Sadhak has reversed it and gained an understanding into how that system works, and then just tapped into that system and brought it within his or her control. So, since the person is able to do so, and this has become their natural tendency, their ability, they now are able to move with the swiftness of the mind itself. That's why it's being compared to Manoj, where it's being said that the yogi or the Yog Sadhak's body and chitta can actually move at the speed of the mind itself if they so desire. Then the second element over here is talking about Indriya Jaya, which is so important, right? Because our senses are constantly taking in information. For example, the ears, whether we want to or not, are going to pick up the sound of whatever is in the vicinity and report back to the central nervous system. Now, while this is happening, what a Yog Sadhak can do is, if he or she has control over the senses, they can actually subjugate the senses and tell them what to do, instead of the senses just kind of reporting back whatever they're receiving from the environment. So it gives the sadhak a very high degree of control over their experience and what they would like to consume. So to make this easier to understand, since we're all on social media and digital media, it's like having control over your digital experience. So you can order the lists, you can choose how you want certain things to appear, how you want to consume that experience. But that's possible because there's certain controls pre-installed in these applications that allow us to customize our experience. For example, I think the mute option on Instagram is amazing, right? There are probably a lot of accounts that you follow that you do not want to unfollow, but yet you don't want to consume their information as much. So instead of saying that you will unfollow them, you just mute them. And that is because the device gives you the ability to do that. So you make a choice, you press a button, and that's it. Mute, it's not going to show up again. Imagine if you had the same ability to go mute in your mind and choose and tell the senses what you like to consume, what specifically you want to focus on, and what you don't want to do. To a small extent, when we're studying or really concentrating on a task, we are able to put that to use because we kind of have blinders on, we don't know what else is going on. But imagine that 10x and really deep level of focus and pratyahar, where we're able to tell the senses when to withdraw, when to go out, what to pick up on, what exactly to do, how much to do it, how intensely to do it. That requires a very deep level and nuanced amount of control over the senses. And that takes a lot of time. And it takes a lot of effort and energy to understand for the Yog Sadhak. But ultimately what it's saying is that Indriya Jaya results in a very perfected level of pratyahar as well. Then coming eventually to the final level, what starts to happen is, since the Yog Sadhak now has achieved mastery on multiple levels, on the Pancha Mahabhutas, the 5 elements, on the Indriyas, which are the 5 sense organs, and as a result, in a way, over some of the Tanmatras as well. And since this has happened throughout the Sankhya system, if you look at the chart, we're almost starting to go backwards, gaining control one by one all along the evolutes of Prakriti. Now, as we do so and we come all the way up to the Mula Prakriti region, that's it. We've already mastered so many of the evolutes which have branched out from the Mula Prakriti. So if you imagine it to be like a tree, it's like you've conquered the branches. Now you're really coming to the root. So since you've already finished majority of it, you come to the root and now you start to gain mastery over that as well. Now this is really important because this is where a lot of yogis tend to get stuck. Because yes, Indriyas, Mahabhutas, etc. are really great, but the Mula Prakriti itself is like the threshold of Kaivalya. Unless you're able to gain mastery over this Mula Prakriti, you remain just like at the door of Kaivalya, like you were almost there, but you kind of, just missed it. You were at the door. So that is why this sutra indicates that gaining mastery over Mula Prakriti, the root of Prakriti now, is also very important. We shouldn't get satisfied and say, yes, I did it up till the Indriyas and I did what I could, because there if you get arrogant and you get conscious, that's it. You're going to need to take another life form to come back in the next lifetime and then continue to move towards the path of Kaivalya. So it's pretty incredible to realize that once we're that close, our arrogance and our need for showing off the powers that we've received should not come in the way. We should be able to go all the way through to Kaivalya, especially since we're just at the door and almost at the home of Kaivalya. So this is a really, really important point to keep in mind for the Prakriti and the Mula Prakriti section. And therefore, we kind of work with this towards the end. And the upcoming sutras will tell us even more about how we can get closer to the threshold of Kaivalya and how we can actually, make our way to that. So I hope you've been able to understand this sutra, which is quite detailed, quite in-depth. We've just tried to give you a little bit of a gist of what it was trying to say. So we hope that you were able to understand it. And now, as we go forward, we'd love to hear from you. So if you have any thoughts on this particular video, please leave your thoughts, suggestions, and comments in the comment section below. And don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if you really enjoyed it. Also, do subscribe to the channel because we release new videos every single week. And don't forget to share this video with your friends and family, especially those who are studying the Yoga Sutras or Yoga philosophy. Now, we look forward to seeing you in the next video or in our next upcoming class, course, or workshop, the links for which will be in the description. So we look forward to seeing you then. Until then, take care, keep practicing, and we'll see you very soon. Namaste.